Good afternoon, friends. I, on behalf of Export Promotion Council for Handicrafts, welcome you all to today's webinar on Reset, Recover, Revive, Domestic Retail and E-Commerce. E-commerce has transformed the way business is done in India. The Indian e-commerce market, which stood at $40 billion in 2019-10, till the COVID-19 outbreak halted the rapid pace of the sector's growth. Much growth of the industry has been triggered by increasing internet and smartphone penetration. As far as Indian retail industry is concerned, it has emerged as one of the most dynamic and fast-paced industries, with a total consumption expenditure of around $1.8 trillion as in 2017, with India being the world's fifth largest global destination in the retail space. However, the impact seen on these two segments have been very different during the COVID-19 pandemic, as on the one hand, social distancing and staying home is pushing the consumers towards online shopping, obviously for essential goods only, but this same social distancing and staying home norm has confined the consumers at home, thereby not making regular visits to the brick and mortar stores. The problem is further compounded by loss of income and jobs, leaving little scope for spending on non-discretionary items such as furniture, furnishings, and homeware. With these thoughts, we begin our discussion. To begin with, we have our chairman with us, Mr. Ravi K. Pasi. We are also joined by Mr. R.K. Verma, our Executive Director, EPCH, our Vice Chairman, Mr. R.K. Malhotra, and our DG, Mr. Rakesh Kumar, are going to join shortly. Now I would hand over the baton to Mr. Karan Jethwani, who is an exporter himself representing international trade linkers. He's into export for over 30 years, and he's also EPCH convener on retail and e-commerce. I would request Mr. Jethwani to introduce the panelists and start the discussion. Mr. Jethwani.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Rawatji. Good afternoon, and welcome to this webinar on domestic retail and e-commerce post COVID-19. Reset, recover, and rediscover. These are the three key elements of the new way of life. We will have to reset the past. Things will not be the same again for a long time. Recover from the setbacks. There will be many of these. And rediscover the way we work and tackle the future. Digital transformation is going to be the key. I've been speaking to a lot of industry experts, and the good news is everybody firmly believes home and home decor will be the sunrise sector and will bounce back sooner than the others. With that, let me welcome the elite panel of industry stalwarts with decades of experience and wisdom. I start in alphabetical order. Ajay Kapoor, President Retail Fab India, India's most successful retailer with 328 domestic and 12 international stores and 28 experience centers. Ashish Goel, co-founder and CEO of Urban Ladder. He pioneered the concept of trading furniture online and was instrumental in promoting Indian furniture made by the EPCH members in domestic market. C.K. Nair is a SAC representative of International Houseware Association, a leading retail consultant with 32 years experience, and was instrumental in setting up Homestock, an iconic Indian retail destination. Mahesh N, CEO of Creativity, formerly known as Ishania, is also a convener of Home and Home Plus Conclave 2020. A veteran with 30 years experience in retail industry, including heading iconic retail brands like Home Center, Hometown, and At Home. We have Nitin Jain, our very own, founder of J. Nitin Global. He wears many hats: buying agent, luxury retailer, and e-commerce player. His view are truly manicular. Rajesh Mahajan, owner, Maspar Industries Private Limited. An industry stalwart with 40 years experience and prominent EPCH member, creative of Maspar and iconic brand. We have Shalini Tandon, trading head of Homestock, 20 years experience in buying and merchandising with organizations like Future Group, Shoppers Stop, and HUL. And that we first start with Ajay Kapoor. Ajay, EPCH is a special bond with Fab India, a truly international brand built around Indian arts and crafts. You have been one of the first persons to recover from this post-COVID trauma, or whatever we call it. Fab India has the right mix of high street, mall stores, and not to mention a very strong e-commerce presence. This gives you a head start over other retailers post-COVID. Tell us about your revival stage post-COVID. How has the customer responded for both the formats, retail and e-commerce? Ajay.
So thank you, Karan, and good afternoon, everyone. Uh, in fact, we are talking about reset, recover, and revive. I'll actually like to add one more R to it, that is reboot, because we are virtually in a rebooting kind of a situation wherein we are trying to get used to the new post-COVID era, something with which each and every one of us is going to be touched upon by. And this era is more difficult as compared to starting a new store that we have been doing. I mean, like I remember last year, which was a kind of a year which just flew by, and we looked at opening some 65 stores across the country, out of which 18 of them which were over 10,000 square feet, that is the experience centers, and we were actually setting up experience centers within 45 to 60 days. So things have really changed, and the communication to the team now has been that we'll have to unlearn what we have learned till now in retail, and we'll have to get used to the new post-COVID era, an era where we are supposed to wear gloves, masks, promote use of sanitizers, do the trial room sanitization every time that you look into the exchange policies where we have been very, very liberal till now. So everything is going to change, and the challenge is not only to make the customers get used to it, but the challenge is not only to get the staff used to it. The challenge is also to how to actually make the customers know about why we are doing this and how it is very, very important for the safety of the customers who are walking into Fab India or any retailer for that matter. Uh, as I said that, I mean, like we have been blessed by the support that the customers have been giving us over the years. This was the 60th year of Fab India, and we definitely had very big plans, which obviously goes slightly onto a backseat for the moment. But however, having said that, we have 72 stores which we have started operating now in the green, red, and orange zones. With a lot of limitations, with a lot of restrictions. So there are stores where we are only allowed to do essential services like organic food and personal care. And it all started with organic food and personal care because all of a sudden the demand for these product categories shot up like anything. I mean, like the business that we did in the month of April through online was only on organic food and personal care.
Sure. Till Ajay gets back. Ashish, a big thank you for your valued presence and congratulations on opening of the e-commerce sector. E-commerce is a definite edge over other formats, especially in near future. Ajay, can you hear
sorry,
us?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got disconnected. Yeah. So
okay, Ajay, go ahead.
I'm just winding it up. So Kerala, where we are seeing Sunday as a the packaging stuff for getting the staff moved from Delhi NCR to Faridabad, or from Delhi to Gurgaon, or from Gurgaon to Delhi, so on and so forth. So these are the new challenges, and of course the biggest challenge remains the delivery in the red zones. And with the zones getting changed very frequently, it's like you are devising a new strategy every day. So these are the challenges which we are seeing right now. But honestly speaking, I think we have been around 70-75% successful in tackling this. We are prioritizing things like we have never done before for categories which needs to be fulfilled immediately to get the customer confidence back. And finally, what I would say is that if you ask me about the bounce back, we are looking at nearly 35% of the normal sales which was coming back to the stores again. I mean, like in terms of the average per day that we were doing last May versus the average per day that we are doing from walk-ins coming into the store this year, this May, we are looking nearly 35% of the business coming back on track, which I believe is a very, very good sign because we are working with a lot of limitations right now, but the customers coming in, the brands which are going to give them the faith that they are actually going to work with a very safe environment, I think the bounce back is going to be much faster than any one of us can think about.
Ajay, is that the figure you have with only about 30% of your high street stores open?
So it is only high streets which are opening, Karan, right now. Malls, nothing has opened as of now.
So that apparently is a very good figure. And tell me, how much do you expect the brick and mortar and e-commerce to contribute, say, 6 months down the line?
So there is definitely going to be a huge shift between brick and mortar and online, and we can actually look into it into two different ways because whatever happens online. So today, if I look at the contribution of business, which I am giving to the stores through web store, that is fabindia.com, in some cases it is going up to 70%. What exactly I mean is that we work on a concept of stock optimization. We don't have a separate warehouse for our e-commerce deliveries. We have linked the stores, which is what we do for the omni channel, basically, and every order which is coming to fabindia.com gets allocated to the stores. I can be a customer in Delhi, I can get service from Patna. I can be a customer in Bangalore, I can get service from Chennai. So we work on that model, and obviously when the orders are getting allocated, stores which were doing 20-25% of business last year through web store or through these allocations are seeing a huge spike of 69-70% right now. And finally, so that is a shift that we are clearly seeing. And as far as the budgets for e-commerce are concerned, we know that this is going to be a very, very critical year where web online is going to play a very critical role. On the tech part, I think that we have a fairly solid platform to work on, and we are looking at 100% or 125% jump on the budgets for the e-commerce this year.
Wow, that's amazing. Ajay, Fab India has realized the importance of experience centers. Tell us more about this concept, and I will take it further with all the importance given to omni, channel, and digital. How important is this fusion, and how does it fit in your plans going forward?
So experience centers, Karan, exactly started as a concept for a neighborhood store, wherein we said that how can we give something extra to the customer, a look and feel of the mall, not exactly a mall, but you have something for the entire family under one roof and very close to your place. So we said that we started looking into the fact that whether we can provide a experience center every 5 to 7 kilometers in metros like Bangalore, Delhi, Bombay, where traffic is a big problem, and a person like me really thinks 10 times before going to a mall on a weekend. Until unless you decide that, okay, you want to go for a movie, which of course is not a part of the experience center right now, you have everything for everyone in the family. So I just touched upon the point about the way we want to lead a healthy life. And probably the experience center that we started gives you everything for a healthy life. We give you an experience for shopping for the products which are very exclusive and it is available in the Fab India Experience Center. We talk about wellness, which is through Organic India. We talk about wellness wherein we not only sell supplements, but we also do online consulting. Online consulting, one can walk into an Experience Center or Organic India Wellness Center, get online to a doctor, share the problems, and can be guided away for the supplements which are to be taken, or for different other products that they would want to follow. There are a lot of detox kits, cleanse kits which are being sold. So if you have any questions about that, those questions also get answered over there. You have Fab Cafe over there, which again is talking about all keto food, something which is very vegan, something which is very healthy. We talk about non-fried and stuff which is very different from what you get otherwise. It's not about pizza, it's not about burger. We sell momos, but we sell momos with the jackfruit flour. We give you rotis but rotis are made out of alternate grains. So it is all about healthy living. And finally, you have a kids play center which is called Tugbug, and it is a kind of a concept where which is screen free. We are not exposing the kids to any VR games. Instead, we are actually making them play in a sand pit. We are making them do paintings. We are making them do weaving through small nets, which help them to understand what weaving exactly is. So it is all hands-on training, and something which the kids of the current generation are not quite used to. So experience center is a concept wherein we brought all these things together. We tried to bring India closer to the people around us, and all these concepts have been widely appreciated. We started with this concept in 2016-17 when we did the first experience center in Vasant Kunj, followed by one more in 17-18. That was in Nana Chowk, Kemps Corner in Bombay. Then we scaled it up by 8 more in 18-19, and then 19-20 we added 18 more. So the reason why we have been investing in this is that we saw a very clear differentiation. We saw a 30-35% jump coming in sales. Customers were more at ease coming to the experience center. They were getting to see more Fab India, and honestly speaking, I say that we were actually bringing in the 59th or the 60th year of existence, we were making the brand to look more younger as compared to what we have been in the past. So the jump in the business actually has given us the confidence, and going forward also we will be looking at investing in the concept of experience centers. If the things do settle down fast, by July, we are looking at opening another 11 experience centers in the current year.
So exciting, so exciting. And Ajay, you have been, EPCH has been a great part, or Fab India has been a great part of EPCH, and we have really taken this mantle of promoting the Indian culture and making it into a sellable products. Now, before I come back to Ashish, my apologies for so many Karan Jethwanis popping up on the screen, and may I appeal, this could be some mistake, and anybody who's trying to log in as Karan Jethwani, please log in a normal course, and I apologize for what is happening. Now coming to Ashish. Ashish, reset, recover, revive. Tell us briefly what efforts went into the first two phases, that is reset and recover, and elaborate on the revival phase.
Right. See, I think thanks a lot, Karanji, and it's a pleasure to be here in this gathering. I think on the reset and recover, I don't think the work is done or even 10% done yet. It will. I think there is a lot of effort to be done, and I'll just talk about some of the specifics, which I'm sure a lot of retailers or operating companies are doing. For us, we are largely furniture business, and furniture delivery is continues to be a fairly large challenge. So we, over the last 2-3 weeks, have retrained all our team members to a completely new protocol of furniture delivery. And this is, before we have opened one of our stores back. So we are a comprehensive omni-channel business. Obviously online first, very digital in nature. But we also have 12 stores. So we've opened one store, and we have started deliveries in 3 cities, largely actually in Bangalore, but to some extent in a very, very small way in Gurgaon and Chennai. And we have also, experimenting with slightly different ways of doing things, where, till now furniture was never picked up from the store or picked up from a warehouse. But given all the constraints that different city restrictions or apartment block restrictions, we have implemented a number of new modules in the last month. One is basically where for smaller furniture or even for larger, sometimes we have instances of customers coming to our warehouse and picking the product up and taking it in their own vehicle. and we are sending, a carpenter later to install the product, which is a completely new, nobody imagined that something that could be done. The other thing that we have done, which probably goes into your revive or recover zone, is we have implemented video walkthroughs for online customers, where we have a team member in the store. The customer is hesitating to come to the store, or cannot come to the store because of logistical issues. But our team member will do a video walkthrough of the product for the customer, right, on a click of a button. So I think, the broad, one large theme, of course, is that every part of the supply chain or retail has to be relooked at for being COVID compliant, and that, I think, is a fair amount of effort for every retailer and everybody in business. What we have done is we have tested. For example, we are opening one store every day. We are doing reviews and audits there, and then we'll scale those processes up to all the other stores also. And similarly on the supply chain, we opened one city, tested the processes first with one vehicle, then with two vehicles, because it's a completely different way of doing business, right? And Ajay used the word reboot. So really, it's setting up the business from scratch in some sense. The good thing that we are starting to see is that in some markets, demand is starting to come back. Nowhere near the levels that really a business needs to survive, but in some markets we are starting to see demand come back. I would say and again, we are a omni-channel business, so our life does not depend that much on stores. It depends much lesser than for many other retailers. Bangalore, for example, we have seen demand coming back to about 40% of what it used to be. In a few markets, Gurgaon, we have seen it coming back to about 30-35%. Let's see what happens in the next few days. But we are expecting that demand should be back to at least 50, 55, 60%, as most of the other markets also open. I think overall, as an organization, we are fairly optimistic and bullish on what the future holds. I think what nobody can deny is that the cost base for every organization needs to be managed a lot tighter. So if there are extra overheads, that those have to be worked on. If leases have to be renegotiated, they have to be renegotiated. So all those things have to be done for sure. But overall, I think companies and organizations that adapt to a completely new way of doing business, I think, and are able to build trust with customers that this brand is doing the right things. They are taking care of our health and safety also. I think there is a positive future ahead. Yes, it will take 3, 4, 5 months, but I don't think the world is coming to an end. I think we should gear up for doing business in a slightly different way, but business is going to come back.
Ashish, Ajay spoke very elaborately on the experience center, and you have also opened quite a few brick and mortar stores. How do you think omni-channel or digital is going to pan out in near future, and how strong is this marriage going to be?
Yeah, see, obviously I'm a biased party in this, given our background. So we obviously believe that digital is going to continue becoming stronger, and I think this, the events of the last few months are only going to hasten that progress. Because a lot of customers, let's say, in furniture, a lot of customers who would otherwise be a lot more hesitant for an online purchase today and in the next few months would be hesitant for walking into a store also, right? So I think that progress of digital is going to definitely become faster. But I think on this one, time will tell. For sure, the screens are going to become more important, because somewhere customers will hesitate. Not only will customers hesitate, there are also going to be restrictions on how many customers can enter a store at some point, and so on and so forth, right? I mean, a few days back, I was, I had to buy something, something electronics, and I drove past, Reliance Retail and Chroma, and there were lines outside. This was this Sunday gone past, and naturally I hesitated. Right, I said, okay, I'll come back later, or I'll place an order online whenever the online deliveries start. And I think so some of those things are also going to lead to a higher degree of digital purchases. And I mean, like Ajay spoke about organizations such as Fab India, which have embraced the digital retail part, coming from a organized retail or physical retail background and embracing digital retail. I think will definitely have an edge. I don't think the time is anymore that an organization can say we are physical retail only. I don't think that I think people will have to adapt.
Ashish, our member exporters, furniture makers from the clusters like Jodhpur and Jaipur, make up a great supply chain for you. And I have a lot of questions on this subject for you, and maybe I'll come to you a little later. I, with hope, Rakesh Kumar joins us by then, because we'll have some questions and we'll involve him in that questions. So I move on to Rajesh Mahajan now. Rajesh ji, you have been our senior member and a major exporter for more than 3 decades. You have created India's premium home textile brand, Mespa. You firmly believe in India's domestic market and the importance of brand building. Tell us about your journey as an exporter and a major domestic brand. More important, importance of brand building and how it has contributed to your success.
Thank you. First of all, this is my second journey on building a brand in India. I first started in 1986, and at that point of time, I was doing it purely on distribution, and I had a network of about 300 plus dealers across the country. But with the banking, finance, communications, transport, infrastructure that existed at that time, and that on one side and my business in exports on the other side, and being the only individual running the business, I chose to focus on the latter. Then I decided in the end of the last century to start looking at this market again. And I started with doing inside-outside exhibitions. And I discovered again that going back to, I met with several prominent retailers, and I was sort of got a feeling that what I'm trying to do is not going to happen in the normal course of events. So that is when I decided that I would probably create our own retail store and move in that direction. So unfortunately, there was no ecosystem that was existing for home store design. Everybody focused only on apparel. I mean, apparel everywhere has always been a prominent or a more, what shall I say, a greater demand. I mean, and that's where everyone focuses. There are more apparel brands, there are more apparel stores. So what I did is I took my architect and I took my graphic designer. 2 of them, I went to London for 3 days. And for 3 days, I walked them to show them every format of retail that I knew about. So we started at 10 in the morning and finished at around 7, 8 every evening. And we had our cameras and we were busy photographing. And only one place we got stopped. Fortunately, nobody has stopped us anywhere. And then we came back and then we sketched our first store, which we opened off High Street or shopping center. We opened it in an industrial zone. Unfortunately, because of zoning, we had to close that one. Now, that being said, there were also product challenges. Fortunately, as a company, we are very versatile in manufacturing. We've never structured ourselves as a single product company or doing very, very large volumes only of a certain category. So we had choices, or we had the option of doing small runs. And we also had, we went through the exercise. I said that when I said, if you're going to open a home store, you cannot open a home store without having bath linen. And bath was not something that we did. So when we went for sourcing bath material and we were given MOQs, we would never be able to sell those MOQs from one store. So what we ended up doing is we bought the gray MOQs and we installed our own machines with small numbers, and we started putting out small quantities, and we became into the towel business. And fortunately, we developed a very good quality of towel which we service in the country. Furthermore, 2002, when we opened our first store, there was really no concept of duvet covers in India. People may have bought fabric and got a quilt cover stitched from someplace. So we were not sure whether if we produced duvet covers, they would sell or not. So I remember when we did the first range, all our product was designed specifically for the Indian market. We never went after any export surplus material and say, let's try this and see how we, if we succeed or not. So we made, I think, around 5 collections. Each collection had around 3 designs, and each design had about 2 colors. And we made 5 pieces. I mean, now you imagine yarn dyed fabrics and you make, 5 pieces of a SKU, how painful it is. But we did that, and we put them at commercial pricing so that consumers would not, be kind of driven away with it. So that's how we got started in the retail business. Coming to, so I mean, and when we started, we focused on our own stores. In fact, I think Shoppers Stop, we were speaking to or at one time, and they asked us to do supply merchandise. I was reluctant, in fact, to supply merchandise to anybody beyond our own stores at that time, because my experience was that from the early days, from the 80s, if somebody buys something and puts it on the shelf and it doesn't sell, he remembers your product didn't sell. Now, why it didn't sell is not important. Now, whether they displayed it right or they showed it, that's a different issue. So we refrained from doing that until a shop in shop concept started. And that's the first time we did a shop in shop in Margaret Road in Home Stop in Bangalore. And after that, we went into other stores. Then we started, with building the brand, we stayed with pure company operated stores for approximately, I think, until the year 2007. We started in 2002. So I think 5 or 6 or 7, whenever Home Stop opened first, I don't recall the exact date. But then we stayed into that. And then also then we went into wholesale as late as 2014. We never really sold to anyone beyond our own, shop in shop. And that is the way we went out, in this business.
Exports, domestic hospitality, and e-commerce. You have it all covered. Can you tell us the importance of each sector in order of importance? Because we have a lot of our Gen X exporters seeing this, and I would like you to be an inspiration for them going forward to build up the brands in India and get into the domestic market. I'm sure a lot of these young minds are looking at you for this advice. Rajesh.
As a company, we are actually into several verticals. We have retail, we have wholesale, we do e-commerce, we also have global sales, we sell the brand overseas, and we are into hospitality. Now, the future is definitely going to be in omni-channel. Now, when I say omni-channel, and I'm saying the startup for probably most people who are in the export business wanting to get into e-commerce or wanting to get into the domestic market, e-commerce would be a very good platform to begin with. You can start with, small numbers that you already have and test what is good, what is not good. we are finding that there are a lot of companies in India, export companies also, who are selling on Amazon.com. But there's a learning process. And there will always be a learning process. You have to pay the tuition fees. You'll make mistakes, you'll have to eat them. You can't catch your head and say, what have I done? So you should be willing to learn to do that. But having said that, getting the right mix for e-commerce is also not easy. You can't simply say that I will set up a website and I will put my product on that and hope it will sell. There is more to e-commerce than just having beautiful product, beautiful pictures and a website. There's a whole way of promoting it. I mean, I first decided to do my Masper.com in 2013. And, for one reason or the other, never got around to doing it. So, but we started seriously around 2 years ago, and we are still learning, and we made some mistakes, but hopefully we are on the right track there. But for exporters to get into this domestic market, e-commerce would be the right, but you would have to get some partner to guide you into how to, break through, how to get in front of, marketplaces are very good. But marketplaces also have their own, challenges that you're going to face. I mean, I would say that we do understand the business, but even we made severe mistakes in, going to Amazon.com USA. We never realized how to go about doing it, and we lost money on that front. But now we've learned, and now we have corrected ourselves, so that should be good for us. So you do have to get a good guide to help you build it up. But it's a very I would say future is in that, and a lot of people who are in the export business, I presume a lot of the audience here is, you will be finding that the retailers overseas are also getting very aggressive on their own websites. In a lot of cases, the .com store of every retailer is coming out to be the biggest store. And those stores are also opening up as marketplaces. So Target sells online and they carry other people's product. Bed Bath and Beyond does that. And Home Depot is probably getting into that area. So everyone is getting into a marketplace, having seen Amazon the way they have done it.
That's a great insight, Mahajanji. I will now come to CK. CK, you were instrumental in starting Homestock, India's iconic home decor and furniture store. Tell us about your journey. What was your product mix when you started, import versus domestic, percentage-wise, and why?
Okay, so while answering that, let me also take you to 2004, 2005, where we actually started thinking of a home concept store, because we had a little home category before we opened Homestuff in 2005. The category was actually growing fast in India and also with Shopper. And we felt the opportunity in this segment was very huge. So there was potential for rapid growth in this category, where the consumer are also seeking all under one roof. And fortunately, there was no home solution store which was offering everything under one roof. So it was actually a big opportunity for us. And there was also a huge need gap in this category, which we thought we will cater through Homestuff. And as usual, Shopper, the pioneer in India in professional retailing, had its ear to the ground approach. And then we first defined the consumer expectation and then meet them. And Homestuff was definitely a step in that direction. And we got inspiration from global retailers like Crate and Barrel, and you have Pottery Barn, etc., etc. We seriously evaluated them when we were in US, and we were really amazed to see the kind of formats the category was actually emerged. And definitely we were also thinking great opportunity way back in India, because I'm sure Indian consumers are also emerged and grown enough to see these kind of changes happening in the country. So that was actually the background. Like I said, home category, there was nothing under one roof on those days. And with my experience with a few consumers whom we have interacted, the consumers are actually struggling to set up their sweet home. And they were hoping from one store to another to consolidate the buying to set up their home. So that was actually a struggle, but definitely we saw opportunity there. And also we had a strong loyalty program called the First Citizen. I'm sure few of you are still the First Citizen members of Shoppers Stop. So we wanted to actually leverage that also. And we had a great opportunity to convert the number 2 Shoppers Stop stores in the country, that is our Bangalore Margaret Road store, into a home stop, the first home stop store in the country. In the whole process, it was the first store, and therefore we also had the challenges of learning how to set up a store, what category most preferred. So therefore, identifying the proper mix for the store was little difficult. However, we learned quite a bit from the international formats. So therefore, answering to Karan's question, so we had the kitchen, bed, bath, decor, and the furniture category. But when we opened the Home Stop Bangalore, we had only 5% of the share coming from furniture. We never wanted to portray Home Stop as a furniture store, because we evaluated the furniture business earlier. But however, we had a partnership, one of our brands, the designer brand Pitzel. I'm sure, I think those who are in the industry may be knowing Pitzel from Bangalore. So we allowed them to do concept displays promoting the bed linen, bath linen categories, displaying furniture along with it. Somehow, in the first 2 months of our operation, the consumer responded very positively to that 5% displays done by Pitzel. So that was a great learning for us. Otherwise, the initial mix of the non-furniture category was also 95%, only 5% sales were coming from the display. That is the time that we violated the format again. And then we converted that store into a full-fledged home solution store. Answering to your question, Karan, the kitchenware business was the largest category that we had, which is approximately 36% of the total business was coming from that category. And our import share in that kitchen was around 50%. 50% is actually, we are actually manufacturing locally, and also there are a lot of brands which are actually distributed locally. The next biggest category was bed, which was actually 32% of the sales contribution. But the import share was only 5%, because India is considered the leader in home textile. So we wanted to take care of that situation. And that is a great advantage for us to actually create a formidable range in the pet linen category. And of course, Mr. Rajesh Mahajan really supported us when we actually saw their shop in Bangalore, one of the malls. And I was really impressed the way they actually created shop. In fact, I requested Mr. Rajesh Mahajan to actually look at and also evaluate being as a shop partner in Home Stop Bangalore. So that is how we created the relationship with Master and also other brands. But the success is, whichever brands that we have actually partnered with, we had a collaborative business plan where we listed all these leading brands as part of our partners for all the featured stores. And the next category, we had a bath category. You have the towels, bath accessories, bathrobes, laundry basket, etc., which is contributing around 10% to the total business. Our share of import was actually around 40%, which was also good. But the 40% was actually of bath accessories, because the linen, the towels and accessories, small towels and accessories, India was actually the market. So the remaining, the bathroom accessories we used to import. Decor is again we call it as home decor, consists of vases, flowers, candles, potted plants, and arrangement, wall decor. You can actually look at planters, etc., etc. Again, the share of this business was 10%. However, our import share of this category was almost 80%, which means there's a tremendous opportunity even for the Indian companies to set up. Even I'm sure this is the same scenario even today. Shalini, correct me if I'm wrong. So there is a possibility of EPCH again, understanding these opportunities, because every time when the retailers import, then there is an opportunity available for the Indian manufacturing and Indian brand. So let us understand that opportunity. So that's how it happened in 2004, 2005. Karan, back to you.
Thank you, CK. Such a shame that 80% of the home decor, something which Indian manufacturers are very good at, has to be imported.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will agree with me. We have come a long way since we started the domestic initiative of EPCH. Shalini, you have been visiting our fairs for a long time. Your constructive criticism has helped us fine-tune our domestic initiative. Tell us about your buying experience before and after EPCH's domestic initiative and how we can prove this further. I would really want to hear that the home decor section has got 100% Indian. How do we go about doing it? Our Gen X is listening.
Yeah, I think, before we start the home stuff business, or even after opening the home stuff business, we had opportunity to meet these exporters or the EPCH affiliated members from India. And when we met them first time, to be very honest with you, Karan, and the respected leaders of EPCH part of this panel, there was no clue about Indian retailers. These people had never, interacted with any of the retailers. And therefore, when we said we are from Shopper Stop and Home Stop was not so very popular at that point in time. So they said they are not keen to get into the Indian market, and their business model does not allow that. So most of the people actually disappointed us, and they did not actually listen to our pleas and requests to be partner with this for this category. So, but at the same time today, I really appreciate the efforts from EPCH to support the affiliated manufacturing companies. We can also see a huge change in their approach, attitude, and willingness to understand the Indian retail market. Now, there is an opportunity. Let me also use the word collaboration. These collaborative strategic partnership with the retailers, it's very important for the EPCH affiliated members. Now, it is advisable to align and collaborate with the leading retailers in product development and also pursue a jointly made business plan which ensure win-win for both. I think that way, even the manufacturers and the retailers will be able to take advantage from these collaborative partnerships. And it also enables both the partners to invest more prudently on categories which are very important and more significant to the Indian consumer's life and lifestyle. Also, I think still, in spite of EPC's effort to bring these people and also giving sufficient exposure to the Indian retail scenario, I think there is still a need of consolidation. And probably EPC can actually help some more people to get consolidated under one platform, and these consolidation of regional unorganized category players in one platform, which will definitely enable faster market penetration through retail partnership. Now, also the opportunities available with the Indian retailers, it will definitely facilitate and support the private label business and also the branded business. See, when I'm saying private label business with every retailer, for every retailer, the private label business share is going to be very, very important as far as the top line and also the bottom line is concerned. And every retailer has a passion towards creating something very, very exclusive for their retailers. Now, private label would be the only way for them to create that exclusivity, and that is a bigger opportunity for these manufacturing partners as well. Now, also it will help the manufacturers, seriously getting the market penetration through this partnership. Now, also, like our Prime Minister was actually mentioning yesterday, sell local and buy local. I think that's a big opportunity for each one of us. How can we create? How can we help these manufacturing partners to create their own brands? Because I can see with my experience and interaction with these people, there are many people who are capable of creating merchandise which can compete with the global standard. And there are many global retailers are also buying from these people, which is also, it definitely reflects that these categories can also sell very well with the Indian premium retailer. So therefore, I definitely see the opportunity for the manufacturers collaborating with retailers. And there are two opportunities, like I said. One is be a partner with them for developing their private label business. This is not only for the offline retailers, this is also very good for the e-commerce, because even e-commerce today, later, tomorrow, definitely they see the pressure on making the business profitable. So therefore, I definitely see this as an opportunity for the EPCH affiliated companies to actually think of creating their own brands and also to partner with the retailers to develop their private label business. Back to Karan.
Thank you, CK. So inspiring words. I'm sure my Gen X is listening to this and will take a clue from this. And I can assure you, we have come a long way as far as the importance of domestic retail realization by our exporters. In a current Delhi fair, you would see as much as 80% of the exhibitors displaying the board called SR, which reflects that they are now actively looking into the retail market. With this, I come to Shalini Tandon. As a trading head of HomeStop with 20 years experience and a buyer and consultant, you can give us a macro level perspective of what goes into planning and product mix, actual product selection, and more important, what qualities you look for while selecting a vendor. And maybe you can also take forward the questions I asked CK and CK so elaborately answered on. Now, since you have a micro level perspective to all these questions, I put it forward to you for these questions, Shalini. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Karan. Before any product selection, I think the first thing in our mind as buyers is customer. Whom are we buying for? Who is this customer? What let's say phase he's in? What is his journey and where has he really reached in his life? So we actually understand the consumers, their strata, their age group, where are they actually evolving in terms of preferences and lifestyle. So that is the first thing in our mind. And obviously the kind of stores it would go and what kind of catchments it is catering to, and that decides the rest. So basically, if we do not move with the customers, customer move away from us. So hence customer becomes the primary focus. The other side of it is obviously vendors, as you mentioned. So vendors, when it comes, obviously, what is their capability? What is their strength? What are they known for? And most importantly, how much do they innovate, right? Because beyond a point, consumers want a new thing all the time. So their innovation, designs, and compliance all to government standards, and the continuity of business, because we do not want to have vendor panel, let's say every season different. So we want to also be sure that the vendors can become over a period of time partners with us. And as CK mentioned, how are they much willing to grow with us, learn with us, and be in a form of partnership where we get into mutual beneficial things. Then now that the situation has really changed, we would also want to evaluate vendors, how are they future ready, which means, let's say, as other panelists are also saying, that let's say online is going to be the big thing. So how much can they support us in our online business? So for example, the quick thing could be, today we do not want to lose even a second. So if somebody is supplying to me for my private brands, can they also come back with, let's say, a lot of content around, let's say, online business? So the moment it hits my DC or my store, it's also available in online to sell, rather than me losing time on that whole cycle of doing things. So yeah, so that is broadly around, let's say, vendor selection. Coming to EPCH, Karan, as I would, exactly what CK said. So I remember the time when the first time I visited EPCH, I did not even visit as a domestic buyer because we were not allowed to visit. It was only meant for international buyers. So obviously we have come a long way to the point that we are now invited, and the domestic business is seen has also seen as a very big potential already. So my take on EPCH, I think that was the first time when you realize the kind of strength we have as a country. You get almost enamored by seeing the width and the depth that we already have in our country, and in terms of be it soft goods, hard goods, everything. So we have a lot to offer, and but yes, we still end up importing. So definitely we have a lot to do at the back end to bring this business back into our country. So while in our head it's always made in India first, but then there are other deliverables which will make us go, let's say, buy from outside. So I think the role of evolved EPCH could also be, how do we see that the end consumers start appreciating the craft? Because one reason to also import is the price points, and because maybe when the end consumer appreciates the craft more, they end up paying for the same and appreciate it more. So how can we bring in, let's say, the craft to the end consumer, maybe the artisans and everything to the platform? And now in the contactless economy, maybe a small videos around it, which can tell about the origin of the product to the end product. And taking a clue from what Ajay said, the small experience centers. I don't know how EPCH could also get into the experience center model, where, let's say, the congregation of people are not happening in the 1 or the 2 times a fair, but actually leading to coming to the end consumer and buyers like us. So that could be my initial take for now.
Thanks, Shalini. We all have been talking about the anti-China sentiment. Everybody wants to shift as much as supply chain to India, and I'm sure the sincere efforts are being made. What is your wish list from Indian exporters which can help you make this migration faster?
I think it's a mindset where to begin with, maybe a lot of manufacturers have to realize there is no retailer in India which has 1,000+ stores. So yes, there are a lot of capabilities, but let's say, how do we get to a price points also which can lead us to sell to end consumers, which means we have to realize the volumes that India can deliver, and then more working backwards to get to those price point, and yet not compromise on quality, because we are very quality conscious as Indians, and the price we pay for a particular consumer. So, and then I believe a lot of creativity, right? So maybe the part of investment in terms of the designing, mixed materials, and a lot of innovation, which I feel we have to do a lot of work around that, because that is what, let's say, sometimes international would lead, maybe become better than us. And a lot of authenticity in the product. It cannot be, let's say, a copy paste job of something, how real it is, how new it is. So I believe this is going to be my expectation as a buyer when we say we want to move business back to India, in terms of volumes, price, quality, and mixed materials. Yeah, and a lot of innovation going forward.
I'll come back to Ashish. Ashish, Urban Ladder pioneered the online sales of furniture in India. I'm sure EPCH members are a big part of your supply chain. Tell me about your journey. How difficult was it to source from major manufacturers when you started? And how's the situation today?
It's an interesting question, and Shalini spoke about her time coming to the EPCH fair the first time around. I came to the EPCH fair first time in 2012, and obviously we are new to the industry, so didn't really know anybody. So I remember, hoodwinking the guard there and running into the hall. So clearly things have come a long distance from then. You know, I, we obviously have largely sourced furniture and some lighting. So most of the categories I would not understand very well, and of course some carpets, carpets and daris. I think in some categories, I mean carpets and daris, our experience has been quite wonderful, I would say. I think it's a more established category, the quality of the product, and I think people like us have ridden on the coattails of Fab India and many other players who have really taken the quality standards on some of those categories to a very sharp level. Because one would otherwise earlier I've heard of people talking about color runs and so on and so forth in carpets and daris. I don't think we have experienced any of that. I think furniture, and I have a slightly strong point of view on this, and many of the manufacturers in the furniture space, I respect a lot and have been friends for some of the last few years. But I think very objectively the opportunity in front of us to raise our game in furniture. Furniture quality, the gap is actually quite enormous, and I say that with the greatest respect for all our manufacturing partners and people who we don't even work with, other market players. I think furniture and many of the other categories in India came from the context of handicrafts, and that's the development that took place. So the international buyers also looked at the product from a handicraft lens to start with. But I think this, right now we are probably sitting at an inflection point where furniture from India and from the entire EPCH ecosystem, I think the opportunity is for the furniture to become mainstream furniture. Till now, by and large, international furniture buyers don't look at furniture from India as mainstream furniture. They look at furniture from India as one-offs or accent pieces. So a large part of the buying is for quote unquote distressed furniture or old wood furniture, or vintage looks, or defects are taken as part of the design of the product. I think if we have to get on par and be seen at par with China or Malaysia, I think the quality standards and quality processes for our furniture manufacturing, we have a lot of opportunity. The good news, and this is something we have studied the furniture manufacturing processes of Malaysian companies, of Chinese companies, seen what people, our manufacturing partners in India are doing. A lot of the changes may not require huge investments. They are actually about building in much stronger processes, and of course there will be some which could arguably be significant innovations over time. For example, one of the biggest innovations that happened in using rubber as a raw material was the prevalence of rubber board. Right, which enabled usage in a more broader sense in the furniture industry. Now, maybe it's an opportunity, maybe it's not an opportunity, but perhaps there is a need to explore board manufacturing with some of the Indian timbers. I'm just giving an example of something which is a more complicated, larger capex product solution. But there are lots of smaller innovations also possible. Whether it is having specialized jigs which take care of the eyes, the jo gaant aati hai basically lakdi mein, which so I think this has been a little bit of my pet peeve, and some of our manufacturing partners, maybe some of them are here on the call also, have heard me say that every time. The process excellence and the process improvements that we can do, and many people are doing it. Don't get me wrong. Many manufacturers I see in the last couple of years doing amazing work to take the fight to the global best manufacturers. But I think huge opportunity for us to do a lot more there.
Ashish, you also import a lot of your furniture, and of course, apparently, explained the reasons. I'm sure a lot of furniture manufacturers are listening to you now as we speak, with anti-China sentiments very strong. And if Indian manufacturers can step up and meet your wish list, how soon can we say bye-bye China? And tell us about the roadmap forward, what our domestic manufacturers can follow, please.
Sure. So, just once again, just to tell you so for us, if I take the last 3 years average, imports has been roughly about a third to about 35% of our business, 35 to 40%, 45 also in some year. Now, starting last year when the duties increased, we could see the writing on the wall, and actually this has become accelerated quite a lot. When the market opens again from 1st of July onwards, let's say from 1st of July onwards, our imports is going to reduce to about 10% from let's say about 40%. So there is almost 30% of product that we were importing from overseas that we have over the last few months, willy-nilly moved to India. The largest shift there has been on upholstered product, which is obviously large category in furniture. It's one of those funny challenges where we still don't have a lot of good upholstery expertise in India, which obviously is largest category in furniture. But that's something, we are very clear. We will, absolutely not buy any upholstered product other than a very few specialized products which are not upholstered by themselves. They are sort of, mixed material products, which we don't have expertise for in India. But other than that, upholstered we will not buy imported at all. That we are very clear about. There are a few categories where, at this point, we don't have the manufacturing at all in India. So, for example, there are some materials, let's say bent ply or plastic parts or products which have higher prevalence of plastic parts, bent ply, plastic parts, rattan or synthetic rattan, aluminum. There are some of these materials where we are relatively some distance away from actually manufacturing in India with any degree of competitiveness, or we may not even have the material or the ecosystem set up for that. Which probably for furniture is not maybe about 10% of business, generally speaking, for a classic furniture retailer. But outside of that, I think we can make everything, and some of those may take maybe a 2-3 year period. Maybe there are some people obviously who do that. There are a few manufacturers in Gujarat and Featherlight or somebody who does some of those products. But by and large, we don't have that expertise available or those manufacturing facilities available yet in India. But there are, upholstered product, I think is the single most, extreme example, which is a high labor intensity manufacturing process. And most of the raw material actually can be locally procured. So there's actually no reason for that product to be imported. So I think a lot of opportunity to move manufacturing to India. 5-10% I think is fine, because there are some specialized manufacturing processes.
Thanks, Ashish. I'm sure the furniture exporters are taking note of what can be done going forward. Our senior management, Varmaji is here, Ravi Pasi is here, and I'm sure we'll use our good books to get this message across. Now come to.
I would say one thing. This is a theme that's personally very close to my heart. Because we are somewhat from outside industry, never been engaged in these topics with this group, but very happy to sort of provide whatever understanding we have developed on this topic with a broader group.
Absolutely, I assure you we'll soon get to you and try to take this forward. Going forward, the way we work is going to change drastically. Who thought Delhi Fair, the world's largest craft fair with 3,000 vendors and 2 lakh square meters of display area, will go virtual? And virtual, it's going. Sandeep Sarkar is here with us. He's a CEO of IEML. Sandeep, can you tell us about our digital initiative, especially the virtual trade fair?
Yeah, thank you. I've been hearing a lot of experience comments by many of the experienced panelists over here. As we all know that India Expo Center and Mart, led by Chairman Shri Rakesh Kumar, has got 900 plus showrooms, and the parent body, which is again the Director General, is Mr. Kumar, that organizes a very large scale sourcing fair in handicrafts and home objects. The shows have been regularly visited by international buyers and domestic volume buyers, as has been very well said by some of the panelists, that they had not an opportunity to visit those fairs initially, but later on, yes, things did change. The SR code came into the existence, and it has been regularly visited by large Indian supply chains. So given the crisis, this sector had a massive hit. And the quantified losses as given by the government is only a fraction. As many works in the unorganized sector, the loss of the economy and that of the labor days are much higher. Remember that this is the MSME sector that holds the backbone of Indian economy, and that of the Indian retail chain stores, and as well as the large export sector as well. And with the passage of time and that of the uncertainty, the losses would go only in a geometric progression. So this had to be contented. This had to be taken full stop somewhere, and then it has to be a rebound, as your main your theme of your seminar today says, rebound and reboot. So these had to be contented. So where the chairman Rakesh Kumarji came in, and he brought in a fair, a virtual platform that can host more than 2,500 exhibitors on a single platform. But the task is not easy, as you'd understand that though many of the exporters or the volume domestic sellers do have a standard website and an online platform, but given the size of the handicraft fair or that of the home expo, where more than 2,500 exhibitors would come in and showcase their products with product segmentation, with buyers, with design certifications, with concurrent seminars going on, with the theme of the color theme being projected into, and the language interpretations would there be. It was not an easy task to convert a physical fair into a virtual fair. But there nobody does it better than Rakesh Kumarji. So what he did, he got into a complete search and got a platform which he moderated into. And once he was convinced that this platform can handhold the business perspectives of the existing handicraft or the home expo fairs, he then went on to create more features in the platform by creating the same look and feel of the India Handicraft Fair physical fair, with the same design, color scheme, product differentiation. I would even tell you that many of the exhibitors didn't have their photographs of their products, so he remotely constituted a team. And then that team, through another particular software, went on to approximately more than 1,500 exhibitors and took the product photographs. And then it has painstakingly been put onto a digital platform through a team of IEML and EPCH. Soon you will be able to see the virtual fair. It is much more than an online platform. It is much more than those existing platforms that are already in use. And if something Mr. Kumar gets in hand, he polishes it up in such a manner so that it becomes almost a real look and feel of an international fair, with product segmentation, categories, webinars, color schemes, etc., etc. But this is only one part, creating that virtual fair platform that he has created, which has got halls and exhibitors and all. The another and the most important is getting onto the buyer's interest. So even if you have created best of the platforms, in order to hold on to the buyer's interest and spend some time on that particular virtual platform, understand with the navigation process, and at the end of the day, when the buyer leaves that platform, he or she must leave with certain valuable information in hand to process, or may be able to take a decision while being on the virtual platform that would be desirous. So a lot of effort has now been put into the preparation of that website is being done in such a manner, with the segmentation is being done in such a manner, the hall categorization has been done in such a manner, the branding has been done in such a manner, so that when you land up on this site, it will be easier framework for you to look at the products or the companies or that of the designs, and then you can easily navigate, leave your information where you wish to, and then if you wish to be connected, you can. If you want to go for a chat, you can. If you want to go for a call also, you can. Or if you want to have a one-to-one buyer-seller meeting also, that you can come out of that platform and do it separately. So we are now in the process of putting it up soon. The emailers and all have gone to various exporters and the mart owners here at India Expo Mart, which has got 900 plus marts. But we have to understand one thing very clearly: it's not an online platform; it's a virtual fair. Like any other virtual fair, it's a finite. It has got a particular number of days of exhibition, and the number of exhibitors are finite, and the number of buyers are also being driven into it. So overall, there are 3 shows that are coming up in quick succession. One on the jewelry, one on the home, on the textiles, and the third on the massive India Handicraft and Gift Fair. The 900 plus showrooms of India Expo Mart will also be proudly a part of it. Mr. Kumar has ensured that this virtual platform, if any of the large other associations want to come and partner with, can also be looked into very seriously. This would be required now, in order to sustain this onslaught of the current crisis, and rebound and reboot and bring the business back into the forum. Yeah.
Thank you, Sudeep. It was really an eye-opener.
And in addition to that, we are also, looking at the 900 plus marts at the India Expo Mart to be live also on a virtual platform, so the domestic buyers can come in and put in, visit that show, and also can source large domestic sourcing over there also. So in case sort of more ideas are coming in out of this group, I have heard a few. We are more than keen to work on those ideas and work together. If you want.
Sudeep, thank you so very much, and a big thank you to Team EPCH, IEML, and our visionary Director General Rakesh Kumar for making things happen. Digital transformation is a way forward. Omni-channel, phygital, e-commerce. I now come to Mahesh M., our esteemed panelist who has done academic research on omni-channel and retail for home. Mahesh, enlighten us. The screen is all yours, buddy.
Thank you, Karan, and good afternoon to everybody. And the good part of speaking probably almost close to 1 hour, 20 minutes after everybody's spoken is that you get good time to gather your thoughts. The bad part is that most of whatever you wanted to talk has already been shared by quite a few of the panelists. The question that you asked in terms of omni-channel and the digital transformation part, I mean, one side of me, the practitioner side, the retailer side, the mall owner side, tells me that what echoes what Ajay talked about and what Ashish also talked about. It's all about creating experience centers. And these experience centers have to be a combination of physical and digital tools. So that's one side of it. It also obviously says that it's got to be more personalized than ever before. So these are the aspects from the physical side of it. The digital side of it, or the integration aspect, as I call it, I mean, that's something that my research works on, especially in the field of home retail, is that most of us as retailers have been concentrating on certain aspects of the integration. And for all the listeners and for all the attendees who are here, who are also probably wanting to embark on this so-called omni-channel journey, my sincere suggestion would be is not to look at omni-channel as a buzzword, or not to look at the omni-channel as an all encompassing, I mean, the be all and end all of it all, right? So for me, it is about how we are able to optimize the use of our channels, whether it is the online channel or the mobile channel or the physical store channel, and look at how we can integrate multiple elements of the entire customer journey. I mean, there are two ways, right? One is the customer communication that we do, the other is the transaction part of the entire journey. So how are we able to create that seamlessness, as we call it? So there should not be any jerk in the experience when a customer moves between channels and switches between channels. So whether it's about integration in terms of price, about product assortment between online, offline, and the app, or whether it's about order fulfillment in that sense, click and collect. Ashish was talking about where you're looking at even customers coming in and collecting from the store or the warehouse or whatever, or whether it is about even the integration on the service delivery side of it. So there are multiple dimensions on which the integration can happen in order to give that seamless experience. But the key of it all to me is three things. The first thing is that the physical store per se is very important to be aided by technology. I think it's important for the stores to get technology enriched. I think most of us, whether we are in an MBO or an EBO format, large format or small format, I think the key is about how we can bring in technology into the store. So the physical store has to become technologically enriched. That's number one. The second point to me is the whole perspective on tactility. I mean, that's what I think Ashish also was talking about, and even Ajay was referring to. CK touched upon it. The need for touch. So customers in our category fundamentally want to come. Rajesh ji talked about how way back he brought in experience centers. It's about coming and touching and feeling that product, whether it is the fabric, whether it is the leather, whether it is that final piece of furniture that you want to take home that becomes part of you, right? So the head keeps saying that buy it based on price, based on dimensions, and based on size. And the heart says that this is going to be with me for all my life. So there's a functional value and there's a hedonic value that come in. So how does the customer relate to you as a store comes in when you're able to induce that need for touch. And the need for touch can be done only at the physical store through salespeople. That's my third element. The salespeople in the store, the people who interface with the customers, have to be up to it, trained, retrained. Again, Ashish spoke about it. Again, Ajay spoke about it. Rajesh ji spoke about it. It's about getting our people trained in the post-COVID times to handle customer queries, which are going to be slightly different from what they were, beyond just the product and the spec or the price. It's going to be probably more about contactless delivery, more about after sales service, how are the frequencies going to be, and a whole lot of it. So the training of the salespeople is the third part that needs to be done. All these need to be done in the concept or under the omni-channel framework, keeping the physical store completely in the center of it, the digital transformation around it, and the customer on top of it. I mean, I would summarize my words that way, and in the interest of time, I'm keeping my answer short, Karan. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Mahesh. But we'll come back to you for the final overview of how things are post COVID-19, since you have been hosting a webinar on this issue and have talked to most of the industry leaders. So before we come to you, I would like to go to Nitin Jain. Nitin, you wear many hats: buying agent, luxury retailer, and e-commerce player. As a leading buying agent, you are well aware of the way our member exporters think and behave. And you also are well versed with the export and domestic market. Your take on all three segments: export, domestic, and e-commerce.
I just want to wish everybody well and hope everybody is safe. And the way I would like to put it is, obviously everybody has spoken and about reset and revive and recover. One thing across all the three hats which we are wearing, like I'm a buying agent, we're into production export, we're into retail, physically and also online. I would also add to that evolve. We all need to definitely now evolve. Having said that, all the sectors need to evolve in totality to actually see what is happening and also innovate at the same time. For example, a retailer really needs to evolve by digitally transforming themselves. A lot of experienced panelists have already given a lot of information about that. I don't need to reiterate that fact. But at the end of the day, yes, digital transformation is the key around the retailers, and also keeping the store in the center and customer as the top, like was mentioned earlier. Like you can very well see it as an example in the international market, whereby customers like TJ Maxx, who did not really have a very strong digital presence in the market, were the first ones to really cancel orders of the exporters here in the country. And while the other retailers abroad, a lot of them who had a very, very strong digital presence and an e-commerce platform really have flourished. I mean, we've been having discussions every now and then, and business is okay. It's not that bad, so we have to be all positive about it. And as a buying agent, then like I'm just coming down the whole chain. Like the retailer is a buyer, and then coming down to a buying agent, I think we as buying agents also need to evolve and innovate ourselves. When I say that, I mean to say that we as buying agents have never looked at the domestic retail market. I know there are very few players. There's a huge gap in our domestic retail industry. There are very, very few national players, we can call as big customers. But I think as buying agents, we need to really, really support the domestic retail market also. The reason being, there is a huge problem when it comes to domestic supplies, quality, packaging, presentation, design of products. Nobody wants to give their new design to the domestic market. They want to just give what was sold a year back, or maybe stock offerings. The new design is for the international customer. Why is that? Like as a market, as a consumer market, we are all evolving, and I think we are not yet there where we need to be, but we have to really work out. And this is where, a buying agent can really come into effect and convince the supply chain back for the domestic retail market. At the same time, the buying agents also get not to be just, buying agents or, buying houses. For example, we also changed our company name from J-Nathan Merchandising to J-Nathan Global, and we are actually consulting exporters as we speak, how to improve technology, how to improve production, cost effectiveness. We are all talking about China being competitive. How, you asked a very good question, Karan. If we were to say, let China get out today and we all get into the domestic market here, what is that one question? It's all about technology. It's all about cost effectiveness and deliveries at the same time. And that's a whole big another discussion. I won't get into that right now, but we all need to actually analyze ourselves as manufacturers or exporters, that what are we really doing in our day-to-day work? I mean, those efficiency levels are so bad if you get to the ground level. It's not really great, and that is where it really hampers the cost effectiveness of the product. So we have to overall, really evolve in all sectors totally. Manufacturers, they have to really compromise on quantity. I mean, like there are no stores which are 1,000 stores here. So they have to support. It's a long-term gain everybody's going to get. At the end of the day, you see what has happened. After this, all the markets have shut down. They are opening now. Domestic market, tomorrow something else can happen. So domestic is a very good parallel market, and it's huge. We haven't even scratched the surface. I mean, if you read about the numbers, it runs into huge numbers what Indian market is all about. China's domestic market has already grown quite a bit, and look at the kind of supplies there in the Chinese domestic market. We are not even close to that. So as a manufacturer, one has to really evolve, correct themselves. Quantity, prices, technology, these have to really come into effect. And that's where, all of us really come into effect together. And yeah, and then just going back to it, I just want to add one more thing, that as a retailer, we also need to really provide comfort factors to our supply chain, to the export community. See what happens. I mean, even in today's date, though, trust me, I think EPCH has done a wonderful job at, educating the export supply chain to actually sell to the domestic market. But what is happening still is people are not ready. They might have that SR board, honestly, Karan, on their booth, But if you actually see the way the Indian retailer is actually adhered to communication wise after the fair and even at the fair is a completely different gap. So I would really urge the export community to really rethink about that. You know, at the end of the day, the domestic retailer is also a buyer. They're paying you money. Plus, what happens is these guys also, you know, like I would also say I would not say these guys. We as a community, export community, sometimes say, okay, you know, we're going to lose our focus incentives and the other export incentives the government gives. Guys, you're getting the payment 30, 45 days in advance. You don't have to wait for a bill of lading. In a lot of situations, domestic retailers are ready to pay you X works. You know, so all that price factor and everything really has to be studied. You know, we have to really come a big way over there.
Thanks, Nitin. I can assure you from my experience, it's been a very, very difficult journey for us at EPCH to convince our exporters to sell to domestic market, but let's realize we have come a long way. Now, before I wrap up the session, I would like to go back to Mahesh. Mahesh, you have spoken to the captains of the industry through your webinars. Very quick summary of how the mood is. Unmute, Mahesh. Yeah.
So from whatever the conversations that we've been having with more than 100 odd retailers, manufacturers, the one thing that sort of comes out is that the consumer sentiments are going to bounce back. Divided view, people saying that it will bounce back faster than earlier, and like what you said, it could be a sunrise sector. The other view is that it is a discretionary spend and therefore people may defer their decisions. But going by the data that was shared today in our webinar as well, looks like we may bounce back sooner than later. So that's one part in terms of the consumer sentiment. But the second part of it, in terms of we as retailers, manufacturers, all these marketers, all the stakeholders, looks like, and I'm drawing some words that I got from my earlier webinars, is that we need to approach the entire post-COVID times with a lot of empathy to our customers, empathy to our employers, and empathy to our employees as well. And there should be a lot more of kindness in the way that we behave with our own staff, with our own, I would say, people. There's also the whole thing about we becoming far more agile, far more faster in the way that we adopt to technology embracement, as well as the new ways of life, the new normal, as they call it. So these are words that have been going around. But I think the biggest word that has come out is collaboration. And the word collaboration is about multiple stakeholders coming together and looking at what the customer fraternity wants. And we all collaborating in terms of whether it is in terms of product design, sensibilities, styles, or for that matter, inventories. To that extent, if there can be a powerful collaboration that's built up, then I think the immediate short term, the survival phase, as you call it, could be overcome, and we actually get into the thrive phase. I mean, adapt and thrive. So that's the sense that one is getting current. And on the sentiment of made in India versus international, I think I would again give it a 70-30 point shift towards Indian made in India. But again, it goes back to design sensibilities and brand expectations and all of that. But there is a serious shift towards wanting to buy from India, as long as what I echo what Ashish said, as long as our Indian manufacturers are able to sort of get their game together in terms of going to the next higher level, especially in terms of processes, not specifically in quality, we probably are there, but more in terms of getting the processes in place. So therefore, the mood in terms of Indian versus international, there's far more positive sentiment towards what's made in India and available in India vis-a-vis what's probably produced outside. That's as far as the mood and sentiment part is concerned. So I think, I hope I've answered what you wanted me to answer.
Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you all of my dear panelists. It's been a very, very enlightening section. And I hope the real stakeholders who we are targeting, our own manufacturers, especially the Gen X who understand this scenario better than the old school. Domestic is the way forward. Domestic market is very important. I'll give you a very small example of one of our major retailers who was part of our panel when we started the domestic initiative. He said, when I first came to your fair, I was not allowed. 2 years down the line, I had to merge my buying with our overseas counterparts. And in that year, which is just 6 little years ago, this buying from India was still in maybe, say, X amount. 6 years down the line, this very company is buying 16 times more than what he had to buy mixed with his foreign vendors just 6 years back. And let me tell you, this figure now, what this company buys from India, runs into crores, more than 300 crores to be specific. That is a potential of Indian domestic markets. And this is the time to look into it. Our Director General Rakesh Kumar has been working very, very hard on this. Sudesh just talked about our mart being converted into a phygital format where a buyer can look into a product, decide on literally everything, and then just come for a day or for a few hours and finish off his buying. And this will be more targeted buying than what you have at the fairs, because at the fairs you have people who look at your products, go back, think, make decisions, and how much of this is materialized is a big question. So, as a final takeaway, what we have gathered here is we will bounce back, and we'll bounce back faster than we anticipate. The way forward is going to be digital. So the earlier we adopt to digital format is better for us. And all we can say, and we'll have to learn the way forward because nobody knows where this thing is going to pan off. So it's going to be very dangerous saying that we know it all. So rebooting is very important. And I hope things improve faster than it could. With that, I would like to close this and thank you all for being a part of this initiative.
Before we close, Karan ji, I have something. Before we close,
Rawat ji.
There's a lot being said about creating brands, omni-channels, virtual fair, and so on and so forth. Now, briefly, for 5 minutes, let us also listen EPCH perspective on this.
Absolutely.
We have with us two gentlemen. Mr. Ravi Pasi is Chairman EPCH and Mr. R.K. Verma, Executive Director EPCH. So I would request Mr. Pasi to share his brief thoughts on the subject, and then we'll move on to Mr. Verma. Mr. Pasi.
Good afternoon, everybody. शायद करण जी शायद हमें भूल गए आप.
नहीं सर, आपको किधर भूले?
क्यों जी?
आप तो हमारे फाउंडिंग फादर है, आपको ये सब सुनना है और इसके ऊपर कामिल करना है.
मगर मैं इसके बारे में ज्यादा नहीं कहूँगा क्योंकि काफी देर से ये चर्चा हो रही है क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना. मगर मैं इतना जरूर जानता हूँ कि कोविड पीरियड के अंदर हम सब लोगों की बिजनेस और सब लोगों की लाइफ बिल्कुल चेंज हो रही है, हो ही गई है. मैं तो ये सोच के चलता हूँ जैसे 96 के अंदर हमने अपना ये फेयर जो डेली फेयर है अभी ये लगाया था, तो उसके अंदर मुझे याद है कि 100 लोगों को इकट्ठा करने में हमारी जान लग गई थी. राकेश जी और जितने भी हमारे EPCH के हैं, एक्सपोर्टर्स भाई हैं, सब के कि 100 बंदे लाएं कहाँ से. तो आप देख सकते हैं कि उसको 13, 14 या 20 साल के अंदर कितना फर्क आ गया है. 2014 के अंदर हमने ये कहना शुरू कर दिया था कि आप अपने थोड़ा सा बिजनेस ई-कॉमर्स के अंदर आ जाएं. EPCH ने भी कई सेमिनार्स की थी इसके ऊपर. तो लोगों के अपने अपने थॉट्स से भाई पता नहीं हम तो होलसेलर हैं, करेंगे नहीं करेंगे या हो पाएगा नहीं हो पाएगा. मगर इस समय ये समय एक आ गया है आप एक्सपोर्ट भी करें, मगर अभी एक्सपोर्ट किसको करेंगे क्योंकि बाहर भी तो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट इतनी हो गई है. कहीं इंपोर्टर्स हैं जिन्होंने अपनी शॉप्स अपनी इंपोर्ट अभी सारी रिस्ट्रिक्टेड कर दी है या बंद कर दिया. अगले साल क्या फैशन होगा नहीं पता. तो इसलिए हमें ई-कॉमर्स के ऊपर थोड़ा सा एक आप फैक्ट्री के अंदर एक काउंटर बना लें, एक साइड में ऑफिस बना लें, 2 आदमी तो रखने. हाँ भी चलो इसको लेट्स ट्राई इट क्योंकि जो हिंदुस्तान की मार्केट है वो बहुत बड़ी मार्केट है. बड़े लोगों की नजर है कि इंडिया की पॉपुलेशन इतनी है और ये हम इसमें सक्सेसफुल हो पाएंगे, ऐसी कोई आई एम पॉजिटिव. उसके बाद अगर सिनेरियो क्या होता है 1 साल बाद, 1.5 साल बाद, 2 साल बाद, तो ठीक है फिर हम वो भी करेंगे, ये भी करेंगे, मगर हमें दोनों चीजें ये करनी पड़ेंगी, जो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है। मगर आप यहाँ पे बड़े बड़े हैं जो 30 साल से, 35 साल से, 25 साल से एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, दे हैव मोर नॉलेज than me also. They are also practical people, they are young people also. Magar most of the young people, they are more interested in e-commerce also. They knew how to handle it. The oldest people, they are not expert in high tech, what I mean today. And this is all, Karanji, and it's a wonderful webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raviji. Thank you very much for your insight.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your comments. Now we have with us Mr. R.K. Verma, Executive Director, EPCH. I would request Mr. Verma to share his thoughts and also share how ready EPCH is with our virtual fair. And we are ready to host all the overseas buyers, all the retailers, all the e-commerce portals to a virtual fair. Mr. Verma.
Thank you, Rawat. And I think more than one and a half hours ho chuke hain. We are discussing about the post COVID-19. So definitely, this is the time reset, recover, and revive. It means after if social distancing, so only the digital is the now coming time. Everybody, Mr. Mahajan already explained that all the small stores are coming with their own market platform. So this is the time. So EPCH is also ready for that. Shalini ji, Mr. Nair and Mr. Ashish expressed their feeling that they feel some uncomfortable during their visit to ISGF Delhi Fair. Yes, it was around, say, in 2014, we revive and we discuss our industry. Say now, domestic market is a very big market, and we take the confidence of our members with us and then open our exhibition for the domestic market also. So since 2014 onward, the entire fair was revamped and reorganized. And with the consent of the members, if you have noticed, we are affixing a logo of SR, Source Retail. For the convenience of the domestic buyers, they can visit and they can source their direct product from them. Regarding, I think we are also doing the lot of domestic marketing and promotion. I think more than 3 to around 5,000 domestic volume buyers are coming. They are coming and they're sourcing the products, and we are now number of stores. They are coming beside the e-commerce company. They are also coming. So now open for that. Now coming to your preparation of EPCH. Definitely from physical to digital. The time we are moving, EPCH and IML team under the vision and leadership of our Director General Sri Rakesh Kumar ji. Our team is working, and he has given a direction that the only options with us to survive this time is the digital. So a team of IML and EPCH is working day and night. I am really happy to inform you that first digital fair on Indian Fashion and Jewelry SSC show, we are going to launch 1st June to 4th June, in which around 350 exhibitors will be there. Besides this virtual trade fair, there will be a live activity with the limited permission, with the government permission, we will be undertaking at the IML venue. Like we will undertake webinars, we are setting up design trend forecast, we are doing the other live demonstration by the craft and other activities. That will be live webcast during the IFJA fair. So we are ready to for the domestic market and the overseas market also. So besides that, now after that we are coming another second fair that will be home furnishing and floor covering, in which around more than around say 475 exhibitors will be there. Similar activity will be conducted in this fair, and grand finale the fair, that IIGF Delhi Fair, which were known, 49th edition was in the month of April, but cancelled due to this region, COVID region. We are coming with the almost 2,500 exhibitors during the month of July. So this is our preparation, and I invite entire domestic, at least all the industry, domestic volume buyers, e-stores, they should come. Recently, the PM has also announced, given a sandesh, local to vocal. So small exporters or small companies, they should also make their products and create their own brand. So this will be our coming future, and definitely we will be moving in the right direction. Definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for sharing what we are up to at EPCH. Karanji, would you like to conclude, or should we conclude?
Before we conclude, local to vocal or vocal to local, that's the mantra. And I'm sure all our panelists will act as our ambassadors to get this message across. And on behalf of EPCH, I assure you we'll do everything within our means to make this happen. Thank you. Thank you very much.